Hey, this is Zach and Isaiah with Wire Customs, and today we're doing points, plugs, wires, Flathead 8BA. Alright, so we got a nice kit here from Shoebox Central. It came with wires, it came with the right spark plugs, it came with our points. We got a nice cap, rotor, and condenser. So our ignition is going to be set up. It's going to be completely fresh. The only thing that's not in the kit that I like to use is a little dielectric grease. I'm going to put that on both ends of all of our spark plug connections, just to make sure everything doesn't get corroded over a long period of time. A lot of these older cars sit a lot, or humidity, wherever you're at. I like to just protect the electrical system. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just tear into it. So since we're going to show you the firing order, we're going to show you where all the spark plug wires go in this video. Just take it all apart. Don't worry about labeling anything right now. We're going to pull all the plugs off. We're going to take the cap off. The spark plug is a 13/16 wrench, so make sure you have one of those handy. See the inside of that.
Fresh looking cap. Doesn't have any.
We'll keep that for backup. Don't throw that away. That actually looks decent. Then your rotor looks pretty decent too.
Good. This rotor.
We'll keep that for backup because it's a nice enough shape. So this is the condenser right here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a ground safety for the points, so we don't burn the points up. Oh, the wire's nasty. There's corrosion on the wire.
But I mean, all other parts of it look okay.
So while he's taking out the old spark plugs, I'm going to be checking our gap on all of our new spark plugs. I set mine at 0.025. Just make sure you get a nice little feeler gauge. This will definitely come in handy if you own a Flathead. You're going to be using it quite a bit. So I'm just going to gap them, make sure they're good. So I ran into this one where it's just off center. So I can bend it slightly over and make sure it's center. So just because it's in a box or in a package, don't expect it to be perfect. Just for reference, the champions that we're putting in it, the spark plugs, is champion part number, well, there's two part numbers on it, so I'm just reading them both. I don't know which one it is because I get them as a kit. But we have Hotel 10 Charlie, and we also have 844-1. I'm not sure which one is the actual part number for this, but I get mine from Shoebox Central. This is just a kit, extremely affordable just to get everything all in one shot. Okay, so now we're going to be doing points, something that's kind of new to you, but it's not complicated. We're going to do the points and condenser at the same time. So inside the distributor, this is the condenser here. These actual pieces, that's the points. So see how this has a lobe on it?
Yeah.
As it spins, it's going to open it for each cylinder.
Ah, so as it comes around, it hits the tall
lobe
right there, and then
it pushes it open.
And
that gap will send spark through the coil, and it's going to ground. This is where it's going to come through and ground right here. That's going to be a spark, so that gives us our spark for our spark plugs. Just by opening the gap. So if we added power to your coil right now,
yeah,
and I just went here and just did this like that, I'd shock the shit. I'd shock myself if I did this with the ignition on right now.
Yeah.
So really all we're going to do is take these three flathead screws out. This one for the condenser, then the point is going to have one on each side right there. So go ahead and take those out.
Okay.
Make sure you don't drop those. So when you do that, you're spinning those springs open. So the faster the distributor spins, it pulls against those springs and opens up. That's how it's going to advance the timing. So you can change the springs to change how much more mechanical advance you get.
Huh. That's crazy. And then a little right there, it looks like.
You know where that wire goes? It comes out and goes to the negative side of the coil.
Oh, it's this.
It's just basically that big loop right there.
Huh. Break it loose while it's
Yeah,
on.
yours looks a little crusty. If you break that, no pressure, we'll just have to take your distributor out.
Good. Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll have to sand that so we can make sure the
Connection's good.
Cool.
Get some samples. 80 grit definitely should cover it.
So we're just going to sand this connection right here. If we're in it, we might as well do the best we can with what we have. Looks good. Now let's go ahead and put your new point on and condenser.
So which one of these should go on first?
Let's put the point on first. Put the points on first. And don't snug it down because we're going to adjust them.
Okay.
So just get them on, screw them down just a little bit.
Okay. So that's how it works. So this rides on this little lip here rides on the octagon.
Yep.
It is an octagon because it's 8 cylinders, right?
Yeah, I guess you'd call it an octagon. It's a rounded off octagon.
Yeah. And we gotta make sure that ground's on there.
Yep. There's a wire underneath the points, so when you bolt it down, make sure that wire is good. Now, is that connection good too on that one? Was it clean?
On this?
On the one that's underneath? Yeah.
Yeah, this one's good. This
Okay.
one looks nice and clean, so.
Good.
Where's your?
And can you see what you're doing? Just use the camera to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I love everything with these old Flatheads, even how they smell, dude. They smell different from a modern engine. Okay, so that's going to be movable and adjustable. So let's go ahead and screw your condenser on down here at the bottom.
Alright.
Because that's also going to connect to that back side of the bolt on the points. The early distributors, the condenser's on the outside, which I kind of like a little bit better.
Yeah. It'd be easier.
Okay, so yep, get that and the ground both slid in between there.
Take this off so we can get on there.
So now we need to adjust our point gap. In order to do that, we need to spin the engine until this lobe is at its highest and it wants to open up the points. So we're pretty close. Just spin it over just a tad more and we'll adjust the point gap. I'm going to push it all the way down so it contacts as much as possible right now. So when he spins that, I know when it's at its highest point. I can visually watch it. So I got the points snug. So when he spins it, I'm looking for its highest position. Okay, so we need to get the feeler gauges. I'm going to do 0.014. The spec, I'm pretty sure the spec, off the top of my head, I believe the spec's 0.014 between 0.014 and 0.016, I think is the actual spec. So we're going to go ahead and just do 0.014. And all you got to do is lightly unscrew the two flathead screws and just literally just move it in or out to get the right depth.
Okay.
So we're measuring the gap right there in between the 2 points for the feeler gauge. So obviously it's way too big right now. So you get your flathead screwdriver, and loosen these up just a tad. And now, I don't know if I loosened up or not, but try to push it in closer. You're going to be pulling it away from it because I have it all the way pushed in right now. Loosen it up and pull it away from itself.
Like that. Super close. If not right.
If it feels good, it feels good.
A little bit of drag.
A little bit of drag is good.
Yeah, slight drag, yeah.
Yeah, slight drag. This means it's touching on both sides. As long as we're not compressing the spring when we put it in there, then it's good. Okay, but this part's really easy. The rotor has a D cutout in it, so can't put that on backwards unless you try way too hard.
Alright, D on the top, D on the top.
Got it?
Yep.
Now put the cap on.
Alright. And it just clips in, right?
It should sit down in notches. Try spinning at 180. Yep,
there it is.
There's the notch.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Spin a little bit.
They extend slightly when you push down on them. So just like push down on the middle, and it should just clip in.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Oh yes, underneath the vacuum.
So now we got to work on the firing order. So the way flatheads number the cylinders, really easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the other side is 5, 6, 7, 8. So number 1 is usually one that's closest right here, but we need to double check real quick on the distributor. Shoebox Central was nice enough to throw in this little paper for us to show us the firing order and show us how to clock the distributor.
It's 51.
It's a 51, huge difference.
Oh no!
You know what the difference is?
What?
1950 didn't have boots on the spark plugs.
Yeah.
1951 did have boots on the spark plugs. So I mean, it's really not that big of a difference.
No, my spark plugs, they're not gonna have boots, and that's not period correct.
They're not period correct.
Set the car on fire. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Glad Shoebox Central came with this. Hold it this way.
Yes. So the paper is going to help you out, but it's not going to tell you exactly where the number 1 cylinder is. If you're holding it like their picture, they're not really giving you the specifics on which one on the cap is number 1. So I want to show you on the cap, number 1 is the lowest, the one that's at the lowest point right here. So it's going to go 1, 5, 4, 8, 6, 3, 7, 2. That's how it's going to go around. The firing order is on this paper from Shoebox Central, so that's correct. As long as you know where number 1 is, you know exactly where all the wires are supposed to go.
Oh, and there's a nice little marking down here that has a notch.
Mm-hmm.
That I think it's a 1, or it's just a notch that says start here. But it's got a, like if you put your finger right there, you can
Right
feel
here?
it. Yeah.
Oh yes, so
that's cool.
that is a 1 on the cap. So right here on the cap, 1 telling us where the number 1 cylinder is. So let's knock this thing out. I'm gonna put dielectric grease on the end of each spark plug. So when it clips on, have a nice connection.
Does it have anything on it?
Yeah, it's clear dielectric grease.
Yeah, there it is. That's a good stuff.
Then on our plugs, also want the plug-in to have dielectric grease. So before you put, not the plug, on the wire, at the end of the wire that goes into the distributor, put dielectric grease on the end of all of those. And especially if you're not going to be running boots, you really want to put dielectric grease on. So if you're going clockwise around the distributor, it's 1, 5, 4, 8, 6, 3, 7, 2. So 2 is going to be to the right from 1. Okay.
Two's behind it. 1, 5,
4,
4, 7.
4, 8,
1, 5, 4, 8.
6. What's the next one?
3.
3. So
7,
that's
2.
We're going to put 3 to go to the next spark plug.
3, 7, 2.
Yep.
Okay, 3. Okay.
Spread it out so it's on the sides because that's most of the contact. Never mind. he's just pushing them all the way down to make sure it's farthest down as it can in the cap and it's getting the best connection it can. Then you push the rubber boots over it after the fact. So you make sure it's good first, then slide the little rubber boots down. It's looking good, looking saucy.
All right, they're all in there.
Looks good, dude.
All done good. Yep.
So just go ahead and put the coil wire on for a good measure, even though we still need to get a new coil for yours.
Cool, put that side that goes on the distributor.
Yeah, we'll just put it on just to keep the contacts fresh.
Yeah. In there. I want to get a tight fit on the new one, not this.
Yeah.
One.
Whenever you commit to going 12 volt or 6 volt, you want to get you a coil.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
All right, so one more time we'll go over the distributor cap again, because that's what most people get complicated on. It has a notch, so when you go to put the cap on, you can put it on upside down, but it won't sit in that notch. So we spun it and it actually clipped down in that notch. The cap has a number 1 down here at the bottom. The number 1 is actually supposed to be on the bottom, so it was good. Once it clipped in, we cinched it down on both sides. Now the firing order, one more time, is 1546372. So on the cap, there's a 1 showing where the number 1 cylinder is supposed to be. And from the cap, number 1 should be at the very bottom on the distributor. And the firing order on the cap here, the way the wires are going to go, is 1546372. That's how it is on the cap. The firing or the cylinders are numbered on the engine: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So when you go to do your tune-up, don't be afraid to rip all the wires out and just figure the firing order out later. Alright, so that was a simple tune-up on a Flathead Ford. That's for APA, the later block specifically. The distributor is obviously different on the earlier blocks, so make sure you stay tuned, subscribe to the channel to get a tune-up on an earlier style Flathead. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. As always, thank you for watching.